the next thing that's on my mind, I want to talk about this Hollywood strike. I don't know if you've seen this in the news, on social media, whatever, but a few weeks ago, the writers for TV shows, movies, things of that nature, they went on strike. And a couple of weeks later, which I believe is last week, all the actors went on strike. So the writers are on strike, the actors are on strike, and they're out and they're trying to make their case known to the American public of we're not all rich, and a lot of us are just like you, just struggling to make ends meet, and the rich portion of actors and writers and does not really make up for the sum total. And as they're making their case, I already know how this is going to go. We all know how this is going to go. The writers and the actors are not just trying to appeal to their bosses. They have to appeal to the American public, because essentially, let me put it this way. I've noticed there's been a rise of strikes, and this is statistically proven that since the pandemic, workers have been striking at a more frequent rate. In 2022, worker strikes and went up by 52%. 52%. Now, any statistics I give you, feel free to look up, because there's so many people that just throw statistics out there that aren't verified. But yeah, so workers going on strike for better pay, better treatment, those things, they've gone up since the pandemic, because I believe the pandemic was able to really show workers their value, and that the people at the top that are doing the least amount of work are getting the most money and benefit from the people that are actually doing the work. Think about how many people you've seen go on strike. Nurses have gone on strike. Teachers have gone on strike. Truck drivers have gone on strike. Postal workers have gone on strike. Actors, writers, strikes, factory workers, UPS workers, Amazon workers. Like all of these workers are going on strike because we see the value of what we do. And we can't unsee that you are doing the work while the majority of the benefit of that work is going to the top and not appropriately being spread out through the people that are actually doing the work. Here's the problem. The people at the top don't need to really say or do anything, because all of us workers start fighting each other. When the teachers were asking for a raise, then there was other people like, well, if they get a raise, then what about me? When the fast food workers were trying to go on strike for better pay, it wasn't the people at the top that were throwing shade at it. It was the rest of us. The rest of us were like, well, I don't know why they would get paid so much. They ought to go to college. You see what I mean? Like, we can't get ahead because we keep pulling each other down. It is the proverbial crabs in a barrel. Anytime workers start to ask for more rights, there's always other workers that are like, y'all can't do that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't get more. If we ever band together, if we ever truly support one another in these strikes, we could make such a difference. How is it that minimum wage hadn't changed since I was in high school? Because when you start talking about raising minimum wage, there's always going to be other workers that come against it. So the people that are benefiting the most from our work don't even have to fight those battles, because we too busy pulling each other else down. $7.25. $7.25. That's what minimum wage stayed for, over 20 years or something like that. Because every time the conversation came up, it didn't really matter, Democrat, Republican, whatever. The workers would start to pull each other down. So, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the same thing with the actor strike and the writer strike. People going to go on social media and be like, they rich, they don't need it. Keep that in mind, because the strike is going to be coming your way. And when people don't understand why you're asking for more, don't say anything, because this is what we do to one another. We keep each other from benefiting from what we should benefit from, rather than hold the people accountable that we do need to hold accountable. So y'all, I'm not. So let's support one another. Let's support one another with these strikes, because there'll be more coming. And if we support one another, we can actually get more from those strikes, and the worker rights can improve. And that's really what we want. Thank you. Got to move on to the next. Thank you, Malik, for keeping me on point.